Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I've told you guys before in the past, if you want to piss off a Democrat, all you gotta do is expose their hypocrisy, because nothing pisses off a Democrat slash liberal slash leftist more than revealing who they actually are, which is hypocrites, okay? They're hypocrites. And that is why they are still fuming over Ron DeSantis sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard, exposing the liberal hypocrisy of illegal immigration, right? They claim they love illegals so much, right, that they want to bring them in and take care of them and feed them and bathe them and clothe them. And as soon as they get the opportunity to do so, 50 migrants, right, not nearly as many migrants that Texas is dealing with, some of these border towns are dealing with, that, you know, because they don't want to deal with them, they get called racist by, you know, these liberal elitists. As soon as they get a taste of what it's like to deal with these illegal immigrants, they boohoo, whining and crying and complaining, right? They're pissed, and they kicked the immigrants out in less than 48 hours. Couldn't stomach them, right? Couldn't stomach them being there. And like I said, guys, there's nothing that pisses them off more than the fact that they've been revealed to be hypocrites. This is why not only are they still fuming about Ron DeSantis and his stunt, they're now escalating and going on the offensive against Ron DeSantis, as you have a woke sheriff out in Texas that has opened a criminal investigation into Ron DeSantis for sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
The debate over immigration and the dozens of migrants sent from Florida to Martha's Vineyard last week are heating up. As NBC's Emily Cato reports, those unannounced flights are now the focus of a criminal investigation.
Another twist in the rising tensions over immigration throughout the country. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis may now be in hot water after a Texas sheriff opened an investigation into that plane of migrants sent to Martha's Vineyard last week, which DeSantis took credit for. Javier Salazar, a sheriff from Bexar County, Texas, says he believes a Venezuelan migrant was hired to recruit a group of other migrants who were flown from Texas to Florida and then to the wealthy enclave of Martha's Vineyard.
Our understanding is that a Venezuelan migrant was paid what we would call a bird dog fee to recruit approximately 50 migrants from the area around a migrant resource center.
The sheriff saying the migrants were brought there dishonestly.
I will use the word lured under false pretenses into staying at a hotel for a couple of days and then eventually flown to Martha's Vineyard. They were promised work. They were promised the solution to several of their problems.
DeSantis, who took credit for arranging the flights, hitting back overnight.
Clearly voluntary, and all the other nonsense you're hearing is just not true. And why wouldn't they want to go, given where they were? They were in really, really bad shape. I think what we've been able to do is show that this border is a disaster.
The attorneys for many of the migrants allege there were false promises made regarding work opportunities, schooling, and immigration assistance, and that many were told they were flying to Boston. It's part of a larger battle brewing over immigration ahead of the midterm elections and 2024 presidential race, where DeSantis may be a contender. His migrant transport following in the footsteps of Texas's governor, who has bused thousands of migrants to cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., and New York in recent months.
All right, guys, so you seen that, you heard that. What you have there is a woke sheriff who's pro-illegal immigration, by the way, who is conducting a political stunt in retaliation for what the left is calling a political stunt from Ron DeSantis, okay? And the left claims that they flew migrants out of Texas and not Florida. This is 100% political stunt. I'm not saying it's not a political stunt, but the migrants that were in Texas were identified as wanting to come to Florida, okay? So they were probably either on a waiting list to come to Florida or they had intentions of going to Florida, okay? And Ron DeSantis said, hey, instead of coming to Florida, why don't we just send you to Massachusetts, to Martha's Vineyard, where they are a sanctuary state, where they claim they have resources and all types of things available for you guys because they love you and they want you and they need you, right? So we'll send you there instead. However, the illegals are claiming they were bamboozled, they were hoodwinked, even going as far as to now sue Ron DeSantis for what they claim is fraud. And that they were flown to Massachusetts, Martha's Vineyard, under false pretenses. Take a look.
Now to some new developments this morning in the battle over the border. A group of migrants taken to Martha's Vineyard now suing Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and other state officials, alleging they were misled into boarding flights through false promises. NBC's Emily Aketa has been on that story from the start. She's now in D.C. with new details. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Good morning to you, Hoda. Governor DeSantis is facing that new lawsuit and a separate criminal investigation by a Texas sheriff as speculation mounts about whether he will try to fly more migrants out of the South, which is experiencing a record influx in border crossings. Nearly 8,000 migrants arriving daily.
Nobody can deny that there's a crisis.
This morning, Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis facing backlash for his decision to fly 48 Venezuelan migrants to Martha's Vineyard last week. Attorneys representing some of those migrants filing a lawsuit late Tuesday against DeSantis and other Florida officials, accusing them of a premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme to transport them to the island. The suit, which is seeking class action status in Massachusetts, says the migrants were lured with incentives like McDonald's gift certificates and free hotel stays, and were promised jobs, housing, and educational opportunities if they boarded planes to other states. DeSantis maintains the flights were voluntary and that migrants signed a consent form shared overnight by his office, who responded to the lawsuit writing, "Florida's program gave them a fresh start in a sanctuary state, and these individuals opted to take advantage of chartered flights to Massachusetts."
If 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands?
The lawsuit comes 2 days after a Texas sheriff announced a criminal investigation into the flights, which originated in his state. Sheriff Javier Salazar, a Democrat, says the migrants were lured with false promises of work and assistance. Massachusetts Republican Governor Charlie Baker says he supports the sheriff's investigation, but is also urging the Biden administration and Congress to enact sweeping immigration and border security reform.
I'd like to see the feds create an immigration policy that people can understand and people can enforce and people can abide by. We don't have that.
Homeland Security reports illegal border crossings have hit a record high, totaling more than 2 million in the last 11 months.
And on Tuesday, there were unconfirmed rumors a plane carrying migrants was heading to President Biden's home state of Delaware. The White House said it was coordinating with state officials to prepare. Volunteer groups stood by to help. Reporters and camera crews staked out airports, but the plane and the migrants never arrived, landing at New Jersey's Teterboro Airport, appearing not to have any passengers on board.
Yeah, so as you guys can see there, Ron DeSantis is just trolling the left at this point. Okay, he is masterfully trolling them because not only has it exposed their hypocrisy, because their hypocrisy has been exposed, they're now scared, right? They're scared ishless. Where are the illegals going to come next? I mean, where are the asylum seekers are going to come next? Because the left swears up and down they're here legally, guys. Don't call them illegal immigrants. They're here legally, okay? And they're asylum seekers. But for whatever reason, the left, they don't want these asylum seekers. And they are panicking over where they may appear next. I wonder why. Is it because they are, xenophobic, right? Which is what they accuse people on the right of being. To me, it sounds pretty xenophobic because it sounds like they're afraid of the migrants, okay? Which is why they're freaking out about this. But Ron DeSantis is actually hitting back against the accusations that he committed some type of crime, okay? Liberals have wanted him prosecuted or charged with kidnapping, right, and human trafficking. This is the first time in my life I've ever heard liberals care about human trafficking in relation to illegal immigration. But, yeah, they want him charged, okay? You got the woke sheriff that came out here and said he's opening up a criminal investigation. And then you have the migrants, a.k.a. the activist lawyers, not really the migrants themselves, that are trying to sue Ron DeSantis on behalf of the migrants. And Ron DeSantis have dropped a nuke on everybody by essentially releasing the consent forms that the migrants signed or allegedly signed. According to Fox News, they say alleged. So I'm going to stick with that. But yeah, apparently they signed these consent forms. And Ron DeSantis, again, is dropping receipts showing that, no. They knew exactly what they were getting into. They knew exactly where they were going. There was no kidnapping. There was no fraud. There was no misdirection. There was nothing. We told them that we're sending you to Martha's Vineyard, to Massachusetts, because they're a sanctuary state and they have all these resources on their website for you guys when you show up. Right? So let's read this. Again, a masterful job of Ron DeSantis at, once again, exposing the liberals' hypocrisy on this, okay? Because liberals are saying that Ron DeSantis sent them there thinking that they will be able to get, jobs and have resources available to them. And Ron DeSantis said, look, this is what is on y'all's website, okay? This is what you're saying, okay, about what you offer. So you can't get mad at me for just using the information that you guys have made publicly available. Again, the left hates it when you use their own rhetoric against them, right? That's why they don't like Libs of TikTok, who they get mad because Libs of TikTok simply repost the insanity of the left. Ron DeSantis just simply used the information that from the Massachusetts government website about the resources that they have, and they are losing their minds over it, right? They're saying it was misleading. So let's read here. The office of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Tuesday slammed a class action lawsuit filed by illegal immigrants flown to Martha's Vineyard last week, saying the journey was done on a voluntary basis. The lawsuit filed in the District of Massachusetts alleges that DeSantis and others, quote, designed and executed a premeditated, fraudulent, and illegal scheme centered on exploiting this vulnerability for the sole purpose of advancing their own personal, financial, and political interests. In a statement provided to Fox News, Governor DeSantis' spokeswoman, Terrell Finsky, slammed the class action lawsuit as, quote, political theater perpetrated by opportunistic activists at the expense of illegal immigrants. Facts. Again, that's the irony here. The left's complaining about political theater while also participating in political theater. Again, it blows my mind. Quote, if these activists spent even a fraction of this time and effort at the border, perhaps some accountability would be brought to the Biden administration's reckless border policies that entice illegal immigrants to make dangerous and often lethal journeys through Central America and put their lives in the hands of cartels and coyotes, Finsky said. Finsky provided Fox News with a copy of a consent form available in English and Spanish that she said was given to migrants before they boarded. So ding, 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 ding. Here is the consent form that tells them exactly where they're headed. It is their job to fill this out and to read it and to sign it if they agree with it. Again, I mean, this destroys the criminal investigation. It destroys the lawsuit, destroys everything. Again, Ron DeSantis is playing chess. These guys are playing checkers. The form reads, quote, I agree to hold the benefactor or its designated representatives harmless of all liability arising out of or in any way relating to any injuries and damages that may occur during the agreed transport to locations outside of Texas until the final destination in Massachusetts. Final destination in Massachusetts. Wow. Again, Ron DeSantis is playing chess. Do they really think that Ron DeSantis, who was a lawyer, is going to open himself up to some type of legal action by doing this? I don't think so. Ron DeSantis is not that stupid. He's savvy. He's too smart for these libs. The class action lawsuit alleges that the migrants were told that they were going to Boston or Washington, quote, which was completely false, and were induced with perks such as $10 McDonald's gift certificates. Quote, no human being should be used as a political pawn, said Ivan Espinola Madrigal, executive director of Lawyers for Civil Rights, which is seeking class action status in the lawsuit filed on behalf of several migrants who were aboard last week's flights and Eliza America's, a network of advocacy groups. The lawsuit alleges that migrants were induced to cross state lines under false pretenses, a line that some Democratic officials are using to urge a federal investigation. So much for that, right? So much for that. Finsky said the transportation of these migrants was done on a voluntary basis. Quote, the migrants were homeless, hungry, and abandoned, and these activists didn't care about them then. Florida's program gave them a fresh start in a sanctuary state, and these individuals opted to take advantage of chartered flights to Massachusetts. She said it was disappointing that Martha's Vineyard called in the Massachusetts National Guard to bust them away from the island within 48 hours. Facts. Facts. Again, Ron DeSantis is playing chess with these fools. Right? Liberals would celebrate this. Oh, Ron DeSantis gets brutal news. Right? That the sheriff is opening up a criminal investigation. It was brutal news, right? Bad news for Ron DeSantis. He's going to jail. Same thing they've been saying about Trump for years. That hasn't happened yet. Yeah. This is, again, an absolutely masterful job of Ron DeSantis exposing the liberals' hypocrisy and also now keeping them on their toes about where the illegals will land next, because he again nails exposing their xenophobia, which is that they are afraid of these migrants. Okay, so much so that again they're continuing to fume over Ron DeSantis and his potential future actions in regards to this situation. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.